Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week I wanted to share some tips for an apartment makeover. This video is simply inspired by spring and the fact that I feel finally awakened from a very deep winter slumber. If you have any tip for an apartment makeover, then please don't hesitate to leave a comment. My first tip is pretty self-explanatory. I wanted to focus on planning ahead and still leaving some space for magic. What I mean by that is to simply take the time to think about what space you want to make over. I personally like making lists since they make it easier for me to think about a budget, maybe write down inspiration or anything that I have in mind and that I know will help me make over a certain space. Something else that I don't do, but that could definitely be helpful, is to take the time to actually draw the space, even if it's pretty simply, just to know what are the things that you want in that space and how you would like to position them. Once you have the basics, I think it is time to take a step back. This is where the leaving space for magic comes into place. Oftentimes, we have a plan of what we want to see happen, how we would like to see it happen. And as much as I love a plan, I also think it's important in these specific instances to leave some space for the unexpected. For instance, you may have an idea of the color that you want and end up with something completely different. Or you may have a new idea that kind of changes the flow of the space. When I decide that there is a space or a corner of my home that I want to make over, usually there is one or several brands that I have in mind because I want to introduce them to my space. This step is definitely something that you can add to the idea of planning ahead. So for instance, creating a list. But personally, I like to have them saved on my phone. A lot of the brands that I tend to gravitate towards are on Etsy because I like how unique some of the things that I have ordered from it are, since they are handmade. And I wanted to show you how using different brands from different places are actually helpful in a makeover. When I decided to make over my shelving system that also doubles as my home office, the fact that I use so many brands from very diverse spaces really helped create something very unique. I was very careful to blend old brands with new one and mainstream brands with smaller brands as well. Amongst my favorites, I wanted to shout out Residence Apothecary, a brand that I love because of how practical they are, meaning that I use them pretty much every day, but they are also very aesthetically pleasing. So there is Residence Apothecary, which at this point, don't believe I need to introduce on this channel. I have talked about this brand in previous videos, I believe in details. I also wanted to mention Good Kind Work. I actually bought a mug from this brand and I ended up getting this small tray that I actually use when I am burning Palo Santo. So when I first thought of this video, one of the first and most important tips that I wanted to share was this idea that you don't necessarily have to buy anything in order to make over your space. That doesn't mean that buying things is bad or that I don't do it, but I always try to think about a makeover in terms of rethinking my existing space with most of what I already have. So it's about changing the layout. So the example I wanted to take for this is the tray that used to be on my coffee table. I really liked the legs, and I thought that one way I could really play with it is to create a sort of bar, simply using a couple of my favorite glasses, a decanter, and also a bottle of wine. So the decanter I'm using, I bought a while ago because I really liked how antique it looked. I also enjoy how it's shiny and the contrast that it brings with the wood. I have decided to add a bottle of wine that was gifted to me a while ago, and the glasses that I mentioned earlier, they go with the decanter, and I think that they are beautiful in the space. I think that this little bar that I'm creating is a very nice touch on the shelving system because of the different colors that it brings. As I've mentioned previously, it's a lot of glass, but there is also a lot of texture, which I appreciate. And voila, this is my very small makeover, but hopefully it is giving you an idea of what I mean about using what you have. Decorating with intention is definitely one of the foundation of this YouTube channel. Since I live in a small apartment, it can be difficult to create areas and to make sure that they are differentiated. I was very adamant about wanting a dining area. So what I did is, once again, using things I already had, like this round top table that was white. I then bought table legs from an online store, and the bench that you see in the back used to be in the entryway. Putting the table against this wall is pretty new since my table used to be near my shelving system, but I really like how this is all working in the space. I also decided to buy 2 black chairs, and this gave me the idea of creating a space that was mainly black. I really enjoy how everything looks put together. As I have mentioned previously, this setting is pretty new. This is why on top of my table is a shelf, because I actually used to have my couch in this area and I wanted to have something on top of it. So on the shelf, I chose to stay pretty minimal when it came to choosing the decor. I also opted for colors that would complement the dining space. So a lot of black and white. The cherry on top in this space for me is bringing in flowers and the vase. This is actually a decorative vase that I bought from Zara Home 2 years ago at this point, I believe. I know that I have mentioned this previously in this video, but I really wanted to say again that for me, a makeover is not necessarily about buying new things, but it is definitely about changing what you already have. And in this spirit, small changes can actually bring big results, especially when you are coming at a makeover with a specific strategy. In my case, I have a vanity table that I have actually made myself using an IKEA dresser, an old marble table, and a golden mirror. I really like this space, but I wanted to bring some change to this setup. The first thing I did was bringing in darker colors to contrast with the white and the marble. So I brought in some blacks and some browns. Then I also wanted to make sure that I was complementing the golden mirror, so that's why we have the golden accents. I then brought in some beiges because it ties in with my apartment overall, and some of the home decor pieces that I have chosen definitely have some texture, which brings character to the space. The goal was to create a space that is practical, so I need to be able to put on my earrings and all that good stuff while still being aesthetically pleasing, which is why I am also mixing timeless home decor trends with items that I have been liking lately or that I made myself, like my incense burner. Finally, I decided to add tulips to the space because of how lively they are. I wasn't sure where to put them, but I think that within my tray, they work beautifully. Well, that is it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching part 1 of these tips for an apartment makeover. I decided to divide the video in 2 parts because it was 20 minutes long, and I don't know about you, but I like short and sweet things sometimes. So you will be able to watch part 2 next week. In the meantime, please let me know what you think of these tips so far. Again, if you have any that you would like to share, I would be more than happy to discuss them in the comments. Or if you just want to say hello, that is perfectly fine as well. As always, please don't forget to like this video, share it with anyone you think would like it, and subscribe to my channel for more content on home decor. Oh, and by the way, I have been way more active on TikTok lately, so if you'd like to go and see what I'm doing there, then you can check me out. I am Abra on all platforms. All right, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye.